lot of times when kids are not doing well, one of the issues is they can't really see where they're going.
We are doing a lot now with our students to make them plan because they don't think about it.
Would you say that that's due to kids these days requiring more immediate gratification?
I don't know whether it's technology or it's just how fast-paced life has become, that long-term things are not relatable to our students now.
I think the problem is their lives are too planned out for them that they feel less need to plan themselves. So Naga, when you were a student, right? How much of your academic motivations was because you thought about the future and you kind of worked backwards from there?
Whether I thought about my future when I was a student? Good question. Okay, so the thing is that I would say I'm quite a good student. What I thought about my future, it's not like very planned, but I wanted to reach somewhere. There was a goal, you know what I mean? I wanted to, even in the educational timeline, I wanted to do a degree, go to university, and then, of course, get a good job. That's pretty much my goal. So I worked towards that, right? So I had a plan. Like example, if you just talk about educational pathway, right? So basically, I planned to go to JC at that time. And then I said JC is at that time, again, it's the easiest pathway to university. So I said must do A-levels, go to university, and then get a job. At that time, I planned it to be, I had opened a few options on job, like what kind of job I wanted to do. So one of the options was being a teacher. So that is my plan. So this is my end goal, to become a teacher. So I directed my attention, my energy, and all that towards that. When
did that goal kind of sink in? I know it's not a very well-defined, like, I want to be a teacher kind of goal. But where did that notion of a goal kind of sink in for you? And was there a catalyst for that? I mean, I don't know. If you ask students or people who want to be teachers, usually when we look at our teachers, we get as inspired. This is quite something I like, and I like talking. So I just thought, okay, it's talking to people, connecting with people. So I thought teaching is a good job for me. And at the time I see all my teachers, I was inspired by them. So I thought, okay, that's the end goal. So I planned my pathway towards that. So this is, I think, happened around secondary kind of a age. That's when I sort of, okay, this is what it is. I mean, I wouldn't say I had many plan B and all that, but there was a certain level of planning. I mean, just the fact that I wanted to go JC, do the A-levels, and then go to university from there, and then plan out the teaching career route. That's a certain level of planning at that age. I think for me, it was kind of similar in that. So I was failing in Sec 3. I think I told the story about my failed math test before, right? It's not like I do well all the time. I failed like math tests, right? I've gotten like 15 out of 60 before. I remember the marks because that was like a low point for me in Sec 3. So my grades from Sec 1 to 3 was just like downhill. And I guess my wake-up moment was like, it was two things, right? One is, of course, the embarrassment of failing math so horrendously. And then the other one, I guess, was... I think 15, 16 was in and around the time I actually started tutoring. I think. And if I'm being very frank, I like to eat. I like to dine, okay? So at 15, 16... I like to dine. at 15, 16, dining will be like, I remember my favorite restaurant back then was New York. It's not around anymore. Right? They used to have one at... I know. You know where it is? I know. It's between City Hall... Point one also. Okay, anyway. Between City Hall and MRT station, and like... It's in other parts of it. Anyway. So I guess at 16, it was where everything clicked for me, in the sense that, like, well, I need money for the lifestyle that I want. And I'm not going to get money if I don't get a good job. And I'm not going to get a good job if I don't study hard, right? So everything, I think, kind of just started from there. And I went, okay, you're not going to get a job if you fail math. So study harder, right? And I think that kind of, sparked the beginning of that 3-year I say 3-year journey because 16, 17, 18, then A levels, and then, the rest is history. I mean, things kind of went pretty well after that. But I would mark that as the turning point. And what I would say is, I guess between your story and mine, it's almost like when you do well, you kind of need a goal. No one just accidentally do well, right? So I think if we relate this back to our experience in the classroom, like, dealing with students and so on, a lot of times when kids are not doing well, I mean, it's a multifaceted problem for sure, but I think one of the issues is they can't really see where they're going, right? So how do you help? I mean, let's start with primary, because that's the most challenging, right? Because that's really, really far out. How do we motivate these primary school kids, right?
Okay, you see, I as you said, there is a difference. I mean, that's the first thing we have established. There's a difference between our generation where we actually planned, or nobody told us to plan. I think, I don't know. I'm
gonna call your mom after this.
I don't think my mom. Maybe they gave us end goals. We have to get a good job. We have to go to the university. These are goals they have set for you, but the planning and all that, it's not, I planned it myself. Nobody told me that this is how you're supposed to plan it. Maybe my case is a one-off thing, I don't know. Maybe because nobody sat down with me and planned everything. It was just that, okay, this is the end point, achieve it somehow, That was my case scenario. But I think now, as you said, we want to connect back to our students now. I don't think they are planning much, because okay, just a simple thing. When I was in school, right, still teaching, so when I was a student, it was different. There was no such thing as this what do you call it, school diary. I don't know whether yours have.
What's a school diary?
What's a very good? That means don't have. Very good. We are from different era established. Okay. So there is a school diary which is given to students. When I was a teacher, we give, first day of school, the school will give a school diary, all the important dates, the calendar.
No, have lah.
Planners.
Have.
Mine don't have at the time. I don't know. Maybe my school don't have. I don't know. So basically,
you're talking primary or secondary school?
This one I need to recall.
No, I think it was always a thing. Okay, so your point is the school makes us plan.
Right? So there's one important page. So when I was a teacher, first day of school, we had to tell the students to open to the page where there's set your goals.
Yeah.
SMART goals.
Honestly, I think the whole thing is nonsensical.
Okay, I this one I agree with you, right? SMART goal, SMART. I don't know what it stands for, but it's an acronym, right? Like we always like to put acronyms. So SMART, I think S is specific, if I'm not wrong. If I remember, that means they have done well in establishing this SMART goal. So there's this SMART goal thing, and then they have to sit down, write down what they want to score, what they want to achieve, have the end in mind. This kind of, all these things will come up. So we are doing a lot now with our students to make them plan. The planning, it's already very scaffolded for our students now, because they don't think about it. And then sometimes I reflect on my why I need to do this, because I didn't do it when I was a student at that age. They just throw at me, just do it. For me, even yearly goal at that time when I was maybe secondary school or even primary school, just pass the end of the year exam. You have to do well.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. That's what now if you tell the students, pass your end of the year. Also, they say end of the year is end of the year, teacher. No need one.
Do you find that? Would you say that that's due to kids these days requiring more immediate gratification? You think that's a challenge?
Instant gratification you're talking about? Yeah, I think it's a very short term thing. A short-term mindset, long-term mindset, right? So I think we were put into a situation where we were forced to think about long-term. I don't know whether it's technology or it's just how fast-paced life has become, that long-term things are not very relatable to our students now. So you ask them to think about even end of the year exam, it's very difficult to connect with them. Plan towards the end of the year exam, I don't think they can, they understand. It takes a lot of effort on our end to make them see the whole picture and all that. I think one of the reasons for this is how volatile everything is. Everything changes for them, even in day-to-day experiences. Every day is different. So if they plan, they feel that the there's no need to plan.
What do you mean by that?
Because they don't need to. They think they don't.
How is it volatile, like for a primary school kid?
Like example, I mean, I'm not saying that that's the reality. It's just how they perceive it.
Okay, sure.
Students see that every day is different. Every day it's changing. So they just don't see the need to plan. Because if they plan, what if the plan, something external comes in and changes the idea? Or that's one perspective. The other reason I think is feel that they want to change their plans here and there as and when they want to. So they don't see the need to plan.
You're hearing this. I assume you draw these conclusions from speaking with your students.
Of course. Yeah.
I have a different interpretation. I think the problem is their lives are too planned out for them that they feel less need to plan themselves. Right? Like, I mean, you talk about, honestly, I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing this from you, right? And I think about it, because you talk about volatility, and I'm just trying to grapple with that. It's like, which part of a primary school kid's life is volatile? But as you describe, I think what you're describing is the fact that they don't have much control over their life. It's like, oh, I've signed you up for piano, you're starting tomorrow, right? Or you have to go for Chinese remedial because you're not doing... And I think that's interesting, right? And maybe it is that lack of control over their lives that makes them feel like, plan what, Like, let's just take one day at a time, because every day I'm almost like firefighting. It's like me showing you 10 different things to do every day. You're also going to stop planning, right? You're going to just, let's just wait and see what comes next, right? Why do my goals matter?
So basically, everything is planned too much for them. Yeah. So they are not seeing the need to plan.
Yeah.
Because things will be done anyway for them.
Yeah, and maybe it's the disconnect between the planned path and their own goals, right? That creates the motivational problem. Because I think for you and I mean, of course, granted, again, we are at an older age. I'm not against planning for kids, right? I mean, I plan my 7-year-old's life also because that's necessary. But I think to marry that too, why you and I found that intrinsic motivation to go and study and work at exams is because we wanted it. And I think for, like, of course, again, you can't let the primary school kid self-discover and figure it out. But I think some degree of marrying the two is quite important, which is, what do you want? And what do I want for you? And how do we bring those things together? And I think even as teachers, right? I mean, to not veer too much into the parenting part, I think even as teachers, it is up to us to break down those micro objectives for them and to, talk to them about why. Because even for my 17, 18-year-olds, my J2s especially, I always tell them, so sometimes they get very discouraged, right? In a different way, for a multitude of reasons. And then like prelims is coming. And then I always tell them this. I say, look, you don't have to get an A overall. I mean, I'm very pragmatic, right? I don't say, oh, you only have to get an A, It's nonsensical. So I'm very pragmatic with them. And I'm like, slice and dice. Cut the curriculum into half. Set micro targets for yourself, right? Because you might want to do well. Sometimes kids want to do well, but they don't know how to do well. Yeah. Or like, they get discouraged, or, they feel future is a bit bleak. I mean, a multitude of these things. So sometimes I think it's just baby steps, right? It's like, okay, slice the curriculum into half, study that half, and just be good at that half. And then, we figure out what happens next, right? Because if this half is good, then after prelims, you study for the other half. And then you have both halves, and then you go for A-levels. And I think for like primary school kids, if they're having motivational issues, they don't know why PSLE is important, I think it's up to us as adults, as teachers, as parents even, to just break that down for them and go, okay, like, don't think too far. I mean, I think for a 12-year-old, it's a bit hard to say. And it's very scary, right? If they internalize the idea that, if I don't study hard, my future is ruined, that's also very scary. I mean, we had the other episode where we talk about, having pathways to come back. Yeah. There used to be this horrible, horrible interpretation of ITE, right? People are like, oh no, it's the end. My army friend taught me that it's not the end. You have ways to come back into the system, go back onto the path that you want. So I think it's just, being able to set these micro goals for them that's relatable, that's understandable. I'm not against like a rewards-based system. I think sometimes going like, do your best, right? Study, and then you do well, we go for a holiday. I think those things are not bad, but you got to break down that big future goal into smaller bite-sized pieces for younger kids to get them to go where you need them to go.
I mean, I agree. I think one thing which connected with, I mean, it just resonated with me, what you said was, last time, when our time is that when the parents or teachers put the end goal, right? Like you have to go to university kind of thing, right? We aligned, or we subconsciously, or I don't know what is it. We just aligned.
You sound like a very obedient kid. I'm not sure, no.
Anyway, so basically we just aligned with them, and then we plan it, or we execute whatever plan is done for us, or we plan it the same way. There was no like, I'm not going to align. I think this is the rebellious, I don't know if it's a too strong a word, this whole rebellion thing, or I don't agree with what it is, kind of a situation happened during our time. Now,
you think kids have stronger opinions these days?
Nowadays, yeah.
You sure that's not a boomer thing?
It's not, I don't know. But anyway, I'm just feeling that's one thing which I picked up from what you said. Because last time is easier, because we when the parents put the goal or the teachers put the goal, the students immediately, we just aligned. There was no questions asked. This is the correct thing to do. This is the right path, and we all just do it. So when that happens, it makes life easier, right? We just, everybody has a common goal, or the both parties have a common goal. So we naturally, students plan according to that and move. But I think when it comes to this kind of current situation with our current students, when we put the end goal as parent or as a teacher, as a school, if the students don't agree with it, right, then it's harder for them to plan for the future together with you. They will not agree with you, you see. I think that's one of the issues there.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, our job, again, as parents, educators, is to find that we all know what the end goal is, right? And it's always easier. I think you see the really, really motivated kids, maybe at 12, they're like, I want to be a doctor. I mean, they exist without parental pressure, sometimes. Yeah. And they just keep going at it because they're very clear about what they want at the end. And that's the purest form of motivation, right, to getting kids to study hard. So I think for, again, like when we teach students as a parent, I think if your student hasn't figured that out yet, then it's just up to us to drop those little breadcrumbs for them, steer them. I think selling them the big idea, it's not going to mean much to them. Like to a 12-year-old, it's like, what does it mean to be a doctor? Like, I don't want to cut people,
Yeah.
You kind of just got to break it down into micro goals for them and, help them develop some intrinsic desire, whatever that might be. It can be as simple as, I fail until I get a bit embarrassed and then I want to study hard. It could be, I want to make my parents proud. It could be, I want to go on a holiday, right? I think as long as you help them find that motivation rather than try to impose it on them, I think you typically get better outcomes.
Yeah, correct.